Good morning, everyone, and happy Borderline Personality Awareness Month. Before diving into today's video, I just want to take a few moments to highlight the fact that it has been exactly 2 years since I started my channel. And I was reflecting about this over the past couple of weeks about how crazy it is how far our community has grown and developed. And just in the past year, we gained over 6,000 new members to this wonderful and beautiful community, and I'm just feeling so grateful and thankful for you all. I wanted to acknowledge and thank every single one of you for leaving those really vulnerable and open and encouraging comments on my videos, for sending me emails to thank me, for contributing to the channel. I don't think that I could have taken this as far as it has come without the constant love and support from you all. And also just feeling really grateful for how much information has been shared because of you, because of the way that you're interacting with my videos. It's making them be distributed to way more people. And I'm very optimistic that this is a platform that can really help to destigmatize BPD as a whole in the mental health community, in the community at large. So thank you all for the constant words of encouragement, of love and support that you give me. I see all of you. I recognize all of you. Thank you for being the amazing people that you are. And thank you for tagging along with me on this crazy adventure that has been over the past 2 years. On that note, I figured that to kick off BPD Awareness Month, we would focus on something that I actually got a lot of requests to talk about, which is BPD in relation to PMS symptoms. We know that for folks who have BPD, there is a deeper sensitivity to things, feelings, sensations, and so it only makes sense that with BPD, there's a heightened sensitivity to hormonal changes in the body. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so before diving into the link between premenstrual syndrome, PMS, and BPD, let's firstly talk about what is PMS. Now, PMS is a variety of symptoms, both physical and emotional, that are experienced the days leading up to women's periods or the days of their period. Okay, so typically 3 out of 4 women will experience a variety of these symptoms. I'm just going to read some of them because they are lengthy and I want to make sure that I get the good essence of what PMS symptoms entail. Okay, so the first thing would be to talk about the emotional symptoms. So we have things such as anxiety, depressed mood, crying spells, mood swing, irritability, anger, appetite changes, trouble falling asleep, changes in libido, and poor concentration. Now, they've actually done studies, brain scans of women the days leading up to their periods, and the way that their brain interacts to different things, stimuli, is actually more intense, and their brain looks different than the other days on their cycle. Okay, so interesting to see that PMS is a real thing. For those of you who don't believe in it, it is real that when we have drops or spikes in levels of hormones in our bodies, the way that we feel physically and emotionally does differ, okay? So those will be the emotional symptoms. What about the physical ones? So there's things such as headaches, cramps, fatigue, fluid retention, abdominal bloating, breast tenderness, acne flare-ups, constipation, diarrhea, okay? So we have a variety of symptoms. It's not to say that all of them are experienced at every single moment. We could have some cycles throughout the year where we have cramps and others where we don't. Some of them were more irritable. And obviously, if you're not sleeping well, there's other factors that you're highly stressed. It will amplify the emotional symptoms with PMS. And just a side note, for those of you who are interested in the science of what causes PMS symptoms, although it's not super clear as to why they come about, there is a general understanding that there's cyclical changes in hormones, as I had mentioned. So there's actually a dip in estrogen and progesterone right before the period starts, and it will go back and rise again. So it's thought to be that this dip in hormones that causes all of these physical and emotional symptoms. They've also studied that there is a drop in serotonin in the days leading up to women's periods. All right, so what is this link then between BPD and PMS? as I had mentioned, if you are someone that struggles with BPD, you will know that on average, you're probably a bit more sensitive to changes, whether hormonal, environmental, seasonal, whatever they may be, than most people. Okay, so it's not really that much of a surprise that if you are a woman who has a period and also BPD, that you would be more sensitive on average than a woman who has a period but no BPD. They actually conducted a study looking at different women ranging between the ages of 18 and 45 who all had BPD. And what they got them to do is that they got them to track their mood daily throughout their cycle, so different phases of the cycle. They also tested their urine and saliva to track hormones to see where they were in the cycle phases for their period. And what they noted is that there was no significant differences in between hormone levels from person to person, from woman who has BPD and PMS versus woman who has period or PMS but no BPD. So no significant hormonal changes. However, there was a 30% increase in mood volatility and difficulty with regulating emotions during that phase of the cycle. So the symptoms that worsened by 30% during this premenstrual phase is like going from moderate depression to severe depression. So it is a big incline in mood severity and symptom severity when we do look at that objectively. So it was interesting to note that although PMS hormone levels do not seem to differ that much from person to person, the subjective feeling when dealing with those symptoms are much worse in those who do have BPD. All right, so if you are a person with a period who also struggles with borderline personality disorder, how do we help diminish the severity of symptoms during that time of the month? Because I am very, 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 very aware that this is something that typically happens once a month, every month, until you are in your 50s or 60s. That's a long time to feel really crappy on a month-to-month basis, okay? So my first recommendation would be going back to the basics. So what do I mean by this? Introducing gentle movement into your days. I know that in this premenstrual phase, typically we're feeling really fatigued, low energy, low motivation, depressed, irritable, and it's in that time that we actually need to introduce movement more than average. So doing a gentle yoga yin class, doing a gentle walk, going for a walk with your pet or with friends outside, okay? So movement will be important in helping to stabilize some of those symptoms. Second thing in that basic category would be making sure that you're eating foods that are nourishing to your body, that you're getting your vitamins in, so whether you're taking supplements or getting them directly through food, drinking enough water, getting sunlight. So if you're in an area in the world where right now we're phasing into the summer phase here in Canada, getting sunlight first thing in the morning, going outside, going for a walk, getting some movement in, getting some fresh air. So really going back to those basics. Also, obviously making sure that you're trying your best to sleep 8 hours a night. Second thing I will recommend is to distance yourself, okay? If you are feeling vulnerable plus irritable, there's nothing wrong with taking a day or two of self-care. If you know that in those moments you're easily triggered by a lot of things, then if you're living with your spouse or your partner, it's okay to let them know, hey, I'm feeling more irritable than average today. So I'm gonna take a bit of time to myself. I'm gonna go walk by myself. I'll just read. I'm gonna cook, and then I'm gonna eat dinner separately, or maybe we'll eat dinner for a little bit together, and then I'll just go do my own thing. There's nothing wrong with taking a bit of space, because if you know that every time you try to engage with others, all it ends up doing is you getting into arguments or feeling irritable, limiting that contact and really focusing on yourself for a day or two is absolutely okay. Tip number 3 would be to create a toolbox or a toolkit for difficult days. Okay, so you can have a physical box with things in it to help you out. So whether it's cards that remind you of breathing exercises, maybe in this box or toolkit there's distraction things, fidget spinners, fidget toys, essential oils, really sour candies, the warheads or the pop rocks that give weird sensations. You can keep an ice pack, those ones that when you crack they get cold. So have a distress tolerance toolbox handy, so when you're feeling in all of those really difficult and unpleasant symptoms with the premenstrual phase, you can rely on this toolbox. It's something that's already done. It acts as a reminder to take care of yourself. So in those moments, you'll have tools that are accessible and ready to be used. My last thing that I will recommend would be to consult with a licensed professional, whether a psychiatrist or your family doctor, to talk about the potential medication or diagnosis with something. With BPD, we need to understand if the symptoms are feeling 30% worse, you might also be diagnosed with premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD, which is next level than typical PMS. It feels like you fall into a depression almost once a month. You're really irritable around that time of the month. And so medication or just consulting with a professional who can help to give you the best plan for care might be a good option. And again, reminder that while I am a licensed psychotherapist, this is used for educational purposes only, okay? So I never encourage anyone to listen to my videos and self-diagnose or act on something and go try something without consulting with a professional. It's really important that you talk to someone who has a good understanding of who you are, your individual needs, so that you can get the best treatment plans for what you are dealing with. All right, so that is it for today's video. Once again, leave me a comment down below if you have any questions or would like to see a specific topic covered on this channel. Again, thank you for everything that you have done for me. Thank you for the continued encouragement and participation in our community, and we'll see you all next week for another episode of On the Line.